Hello, LinkedIn, Twitch, Facebook, and sorry, there's some background noise here. My name is Frank Lavinia, and I'm going to record a little episode of Impact Quantum. Of course, that means that there has to be background noise, but hang on one second. All right, that's better. All right, so my name is Frank Lavinia. Sorry about that. I had a couple of technical glitches, and then now I had some environmental glitches. My name's Frank Lavinia. I am a podcaster, vlogger, data scientist, data engineer, and aspiring quantum developer in trying to make his way in the universe, in the metaverse. I'm going to record a quick show. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. Wow, it's just been a glitchy kind of start off to this stream. All right. It's bound to happen though. If you stream enough, you're going to have a lot of glitches. All right, so let me kick off some fancy graphics so I get this started. All right, and that little bit of dubstep can only mean one thing. It means it is time for Impact Quantum, a podcast for engineers. I'm recording this live on November 19th, 2021, in response to some recent news that's happened here in what we affectionately here call in the Washington, D.C. metro, the DMV. In fact, that's the title, Quantum Computing in the DMV. And for those wondering what the heck the DMV is, no, I'm not referring to the Department of Motor Vehicles. They are not coming up with quantum computers to randomly mess up the times it takes to get your stuff done there. What I'm referring to is the colloquialism that we use here in this region to denote the District of Columbia, DC, Maryland, and Virginia, kind of the tri-state area, if you will. It also does include, it's not really a tri-state area because it does include bits of Pennsylvania, bits of West Virginia, and arguably bits of Delaware. So what's interesting and what's happening here is actually really exciting when you look at what's happening here in the space of quantum computer. And this is what caught my eye. There's a local news channel here called WTOP. And apparently Northrop Grumman, which is a major defense contractor, system integrator for the federal government, as well as the Department of Defense, they are pledging $12.5 million to the Virginia Tech Innovation Campus in Arlington for the development of quantum computing. And here's another news story that's related to that with Northrop Grumman. Basically from the Virginia Tech press release. And when you see that, if you're not from the area and you see VT, it stands for Virginia Tech. It's not mean Vermont. I made that mistake when I first moved to Richmond. But ultimately, here's a video kind of explaining the. Happy to be here for another important announcement.
Northrop Grumman's more than $12 million investment in Virginia Tech's Innovation Campus will support the university's research and teaching in quantum information sciences and engineering.
This partnership with So I think that's an interesting thing. And also, why did I mention the DMV? Because so far all we've seen is the V. Well, this here, University of Maryland, I myself live in Maryland. If you go to quantumumd.edu, which stands for University of Maryland, which is not too far from the IKEA that we spend way too much time at over in College Park, I think it's an interesting, they have a quantum startup foundry. I think that it's too early to call it, right? It's too early to say that this is going to be, the Silicon Valley of quantum technology or quantum information systems. However, I will say that there's some interesting things that are happening here that make this region very competitive in this space. And I I know personally that this is going to be the next wave of computer science and computer engineering, and that will lead into all sorts of new algorithms and new methods, and ultimately affect the lives of just about every developer out there. Data scientists, AI, pretty much the change that this is going to bring is going to run the whole gamut. And here's why the DMV, as it were, has a distinct advantage. The number one risk to organizations, both at the enterprise, um, small business, and at the nation state level, is the fact that quantum computers can factor prime numbers faster than conventional computing. Why is that a big deal? I'll tell you. It's a big deal because all of our encryption infrastructure today is based on the fact that it is very hard to break um, to factor primes. It's very compute intensive. Quantum computing, through the use of Shor's algorithm, has the ability and the very well proven out ability to make that orders of magnitude faster, which represents a huge national security risk for every country on Earth, realistically. Imagine diplomatic cables, top secret information being shared. You know, they're encrypted in a way that it'll take 50 years for it to be deciphered. But what if you could do this in a matter of minutes? That is a huge risk. And given our geography here in Maryland and Virginia and the nation's capital, it makes sense that local businesses who already have a significant footprint in the region are starting to invest in quantum, and they know that the pipeline for quantum information sciences, quantum engineers, quantum developers does not exist yet. We're starting from zero, and not totally from zero. I mean, ultimately, most of the people in this space are quantum physicists, researchers, and whatnot, who are already in short supply. So you can imagine what this is going to do in terms of as this field evolves, as this ecosystem develops, the job market for this is going to evolve and grow at that time. But quantum physics, trust me, is something that is not something you can learn overnight, right? There is maybe at some point there will be, but there's no 6-week boot camp like you have for web design. Maybe at some point in the future there will be, but it takes years to get years of experience in quantum computing or quantum physics. And I think that what we're seeing here is a very strategic and smart move from both the University of Maryland, Northrop Grumman, Virginia Tech, and any number of institutions in and around the DC metro area to start building this pipeline now. Start building the foundation, because the best time to plant a tree is 20 years ago. Second best time is today. Ultimately, I think what the smart people behind this have realized that this is going to be a big deal. Now, is this going to be a big deal in 3 years, 5 years, or 20 years? That remains to be seen. It'll definitely be a big deal in 20 years, right? Will it be a big deal sooner? I think it will be. I think quantum is about to just explode and become a major impact. If you look at all the major cloud providers have some form of quantum service available. There's Amazon Bracket, there's Azure Quantum, Google has some offerings, IBM has some offerings, as well as doing some very cutting edge research in that space. So I think that the writing is on the wall, and employers, startups, um, the startup ecosystem in quantum is exploding. But also, all of these folks are going to know that we're going to need a labor pool or talent pool that is going to be um, very crucial, and it's going to take a while to build out that pipeline. In fact, it says it right here: the University of Maryland is a powerhouse of discovery with decades of experience advancing a field that will help our nation and the world's future. I think that's a um, pretty well said. Um, and I would also agree with this here by Daryl J. Pines, president of UMD. Um, this could be right. No one has a monopoly so far on, or geographically, on quantum computers. There's obviously a lot of work being done in Europe, obviously a lot in China, and a lot in the US. But I think that this particular region has a very urgent need, because while a lot of businesses are trying to scratch their chins and say, What could we use quantum for? There's a very large industry here that knows exactly why they need quantum technology and why they need to get ahead of it and why they need to start building a talent pool. So this could be the DC Metro, the DMV's kind of big bang moment in terms of startups. For those of you who don't know, when I was at Microsoft, my first stint at Microsoft, I was a startup evangelist in the DC area. Our team was fundamental in founding 1776 in its heyday, and I used to run the YouTube channel DC Tech Minute. But this is bigger than that, right? This is bigger than build the next app that does X or build the next kind of solution for whatever it is. Not that those are not big deals, but quantum is a, pardon the pun, a quantum shift in how we do computing, right? And we haven't seen anything like this in our lifetime, at least in my lifetime. Since the invention of the transistor, right? Since the switch from tubes to transistors, this is going to be that level of shift, right? This is the shift that created Intel. This is the shift that created Microsoft, right? Every 10, 15 years, you get a shift that creates all these new industries, all these new ecosystems, right? In my lifetime, there's been kind of, the client server era. There's been the web era. There's been the mobile era and the social era. And, what's next? Is it going to be metaverse? Probably. Is it going to be quantum? Definitely. So I just wanted to kind of point that out. And if anyone from the University of Maryland or Virginia Tech wants to be a guest on the show, feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or leave a comment below on whatever platform you're watching this on. And you have a fantastic day. And I'll let the nice British lady end the show. So for those of you not familiar with the shows that Andy, Leonard, and I do, we have a character that does all of our voiceovers and outros and sometimes interstitials called Bailey, which stands for British AI Lady. And yeah, so I've actually done a lot of speaking about why we switched to AI as opposed to using an actual actor, voice actor. For one, it's cheaper, and we can get a custom kind of intro, outro every time we do a show if we choose to. And the technology in voice and AI has gotten really good in terms of generation. If you use neural voice, it's you can tell it's a not a human, but I think part of that is you have to code in kind of those imperfections in that even professional voiceover actors would have in their voice and their pitch and their tone, those variations, with, I suppose, enough SSML and enough time, that speech synthesis markup language. Um, yeah, that would that would mitigate that. So we were at a point where interesting things are happening in AI. Um, and I also think that there's an interesting things happening in quantum as well. Had an interesting Twitter kind of conversation that was shockingly civil because I mean it is Twitter, um, but it was interesting in the sense that we were talking about kind of what would enterprise ready quantum computing look like, right? What does the DevOps pipeline look like? What does the testing pipeline look like? Quantum computers are largely probabilistic as opposed to deterministic, which means you'll get a maybe answer. It's a bit like AI that way. AI models will give you a probability. Same thing here. So I think that there's a lot of thinking around those spaces that have yet to be done, let alone debugging on a quantum computer, right? We had a guest on the show that kind of explained how that would work or what that would look like. But even still, this is just a raw, uncharted territory. So with that, I have to go to another meeting, and I want to thank you for watching, whether it's live or you've been watching in the live stream. I mean, yeah, watching recording of the live stream, and that clearly means I need to get some more coffee. You have a great weekend, and maybe I'll stream again later today. Thanks. Have a great day. Oh, hold up, hold up. Do I don't think I have it on this computer. I was going to announce the data channel. So if you go to data channel, TV. Let's see if the redirect works. Yes, it does. You can subscribe to this, start a free trial, and you can check it out. And right now, there's no quantum computing content, but that is going to change in the near future. Um, so give it a check. Use code launch 497 to get a significant discount, basically a 67% discount off our normal price, and use Data Channel for life, which will give you an annual subscription discount of about 70%. That's our launch pricing. I'm not sure how much longer we're going to keep that going. But with that, I'm going to end the stream and wish you all a fantastic